Make sure you're developing relationships with your students. Make sure you have developed a relationship with God and need to bridge the gap between those two things so that your students have relationships with God. Okay, and here's a couple things that you can do. Students almost always connect with a leader first and then connect to the Savior. That's where we left off. Be sensitive to spiritual moments. Okay? You have a relationship with God, and use that sensitivity to know when you can take what God is doing in your life and around your students and open your students' eyes to see what God is doing. Okay, be aware of spiritual moments. Every opportunity you have to address something spiritual or address their relationship with God in a very impactful and influential setting, whether that's at Taco Bell, whether that's at church, whether that's at wherever. We need to take advantage of spiritual moments where we can really invest and allow students to really connect with God. It's very important. Be intentional about the end. Why are you developing this relationship? Okay? You're developing this relationship because you love people. You want to see God affected in their lives, and ultimately you want to see them have a relationship with God. It's not about you. It's not about your relationship, but ultimately you want to connect them with God. Okay? Strengthen your relationship with God. Again, you can't take people places you have not been before. Okay? So make sure that you have, and I encourage you to do this now while you're young. It's a lot harder to do later in life. If you're not married, start your marriage with devotion and relationship with God. Talk about that as a couple. It's a lot easier to do at the start than it is to do somewhere in the middle. Okay, but strengthen your relationship with God and always be looking for ways to grow spiritually yourself. And that's how you can continue to help others develop relationships with God. Okay, 4, don't focus on your personality, but focus on what God has done and can do. A lot of youth pastors will just work off their personality. This is what's drawing young people into the youth ministry, is their personality. But if all that your students engage with in your youth ministry is their relationship with you, and your personality is what leads that ministry and not your relationship with God, you're in for some trouble. Okay? So let's talk very briefly about parents and you and them. My relationship with parents. Your relationship with parents is very important. A lot of times people leave out, in youth ministry, people leave parents out because maybe they don't like to deal with, those parental figures. Maybe they're afraid, or maybe they just don't feel like, what parents have to input in their kids is valuable. There's lots of reasons why people don't build relationships with parents or work hand in hand with parents. But I encourage, if you want to be successful, okay, real and true spirituality takes place at home. Okay, true spiritual formation takes place in the home, and you want to be as connected, and you want your parents to be as connected with what's going on in their child's life as possible. Okay, you want parents to take the bulk of the spiritual formation and make sure it's happening at home. So you have to really be connected with parents. Okay, don't ignore them. Don't leave them out. Make sure they're engaged. Make sure they're connected. Okay. If you have a strong relationship with parents, they will help you. Okay? If you have a strong relationship with parents, it will benefit that young person. Okay? It won't hurt. It will help. Okay? If you have a weak relationship with parents, they will not trust you. Okay? You are responsible for something that is very, very, very valuable to them. Respect that. Okay? Keep them informed. Don't be flippant about the value of that young person's life with their parents. They're very, very valuable commodities, and we want to be respectful of that. They're not your kids. They're somebody else's kids. Okay? So keep that parent in the know. If they have questions, don't act like they shouldn't be asking you questions about their young person. Okay? They care more about their kid than you do. Now, there's some cases where families are just weird. Okay? And today, with so many broken homes and things like that, I know it's difficult. You can't just expect parents to take the primary role of spiritual formation. And maybe some parents don't care about their kids. It happens. But you have to understand that parents have got to be a part of their kids' life. You need to do your best to build a relationship with parents and then connect them. Remember that family is ordained by God, and your role is supplemental, and the parent's role is primary in the raising of that kid. Be careful not to turn a student against their parents, okay? Vice versa. Be hesitant to take sides, okay? Be slow to make a decision on who's right, okay? A lot of times a young person will come to you and be like, oh, my mom and dad said this and this and this, all right? And it's real easy to be like, oh my goodness, your parents are horrible. But don't get involved until you hear that parent's side of the story. A lot of times you'll find out that young people aren't all that honest, and they want you to be on their side from the start. So just be careful. Make sure you find out from parents. Be hesitant to take sides. The devil and the world are already destroying families. They don't need your help. Okay, so try not to rush in and mess everything up for a family or to cause chaos or strife. Okay, well, what about when parents are motivating their child to do something immoral or illegal? Probably you need to step in at some point. Perhaps those parents are not involved in church, or perhaps they don't want their kid coming to church at all. Whatever the story is, you need to sort of balance that relationship out. Remember that more often than not, you have to understand that the parent is the child's mom or dad. You're not their mom or dad, and you have to give into their parenting. You definitely want to keep them safe if possible, but you have to understand you're not the primary caretaker of that student. Okay. Remember that parents have more access and spend more time with their students. They can influence them in ways that you can't. You only see a kid so many times a week, maybe twice on Sunday, once on Wednesday, once on a Friday. Well, mom and dad are seeing that kid every day. And they have more opportunity to speak into a child's life. While they have more opportunity, sometimes they're not equipped, or sometimes they don't understand how, or they're fearful to speak spiritual things into their child's life, and they leave that up to you. But just keep in mind that they spend more time with them, and that you need to leverage that relationship and help parents to be successful in spiritual formation. Intentionally work toward helping them help make healthy families. That is a more holistic and effectual approach to youth ministry. Okay? If you're helping families, if you're providing mom and dad with great resources, maybe that's some form of parenting training that you bring somebody in, or maybe that's an article that you read, or maybe that's involving them more in the youth ministry, something like that. Okay, if you give them those resources, they can be more effective parents. And if they're more effective parents, you're going to have better young people in your youth ministry, more whole and complete young people in your ministry. And that's what we want.